Out of the many different genres available in anime, Isekai is definitely one of the most popular ones, even though there are not many of them. Hey guys, Animan here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 Isekai harem anime currently out there. Now, I know there aren't a lot of anime in this genre, especially when we're trying to find one that has both Isekai and a harem, but we have tried our best to dig up some hidden gems, and sure enough, we think we found some that will surely grab your attention. So before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel and press on that bell icon and set us all to be notified about our latest videos. Coming in at number 10, we have Isekai Cheat Magician. The story starts off with your typical isekai story, where the main character is transported to another world which they've been destined to protect. The main character has powers and is stupidly overpowered, and they don't explain why. The story itself is pretty standard, but it's not a terrible story. There are many isekai anime nowadays with the same story, but at least Isekai Cheat Magician tried to be different. Well, a bit. Instead of the usual beginning where it's the male protagonist that gets transported to another world, he brings his girlfriend, who's not officially his girlfriend, with him this time around. And instead of having girls from the new world fawn over his overwhelmingly bland magnificence, we have his original side hoe in it with them instead. Well, that's where the differences end, really. If you're looking for your standard vanilla isekai anime, then this one might be for you. You won't have to think too hard, so it's great as a palate cleanser after watching other bad anime. Coming in at number 9, we have the Master of Ragnarok and the Blesser of Einherjar. The story is simple to summarize. A guy named Yuto gets transported into a fantasy world filled with Norse mythology. Along with him is his trusty sidekick named Smartphone, where in the first episode we were slammed already by him being the most important character in the world, not even showing us why. Here we see him involved with wars, and he keeps winning, and winning, and winning against other clans, with his harem that is overpowered, which he collected by Pokeballs. Which he collected by his great leadership or handsome face. Ever wonder how he wins wars? By searching through the internet by his smartphone. Of course there's Wi-Fi connection in the distant past. It's a great story, am I right? Along with wars, we see him getting harassed by his Pokemon by meaning of seducing him, but at least he is loyal to his friend in the real world, which he can actually talk to even though he is in the other world. Master of Ragnarok and the Blesser of Einherjar is a great anime for those who loves to see those silly cliche types of things in a story. But as for me, it's not. But you should at least give it a try and see if you like it or not. Coming in at number 8, we have Choyoyu, High School Prodigies Have It Easy Even in Another World. It's about a group of Japanese prodigies who enters a fantasy world. What's unique about this group is that each of the characters specializes in a different field with their abilities. This anime chronicles their adventure in a fantasy world where they solve problems caused by corruption. And from the start, the first few episodes didn't waste time to establish the main cast. Every main character stands out in some way or form, whether it's their personality or unique skill. As such, you really shouldn't be expecting only one character to carry the show. From my first impressions, this anime wants to make the most of its characters. We quickly meet Tsukasa Mikogami, a prime minister with heterochromia coming from a previous world. With a personality of wisdom, he stands out as a poster boy of restoring peace and eradicating corruption. Joining him includes Lirul, the mysterious elf who seems to have feelings for him. The anime doesn't fully commit on their relationship, but it's obvious that she sees Tsukasa as more than a close friend. It also doesn't take long for the audience to meet the other main characters: Shinobu Sarutobi, Kain Kansaki, Aoi Ichijo, Ringo Uhoshi, and Prince Akatsuki and Sanada Masato. Possessing skills such as medical expertise, swordsmanship, ninja arts, magic, and among others, these prodigies stands as a symbol of hope for their world. Honestly, watching Choyoyu, it's probably as good or as awful as you want it to be. After seeing so many isekai anime in recent years, it feels like watching the same thing over and over and over again, and expecting different results. By the way, isn't that the definition of insanity? But again, it's up to you guys to decide whether to watch this anime or not. Coming in at number 7, we have Death March to a Parallel World Rhapsody. This is a story about a computer programmer named Sato, who, while finding bugs in a fantasy game, is transported in the same game on which he was working. Because of some sheer luck, our main character becomes overpowered in the first episode itself. Then he moves on and saves some girls from slavery and a lolly who tries to hypnotize him into falling in love with her. Ugh. He continues his adventure exploring new towns and helping people. This is a really simple story concept, and do not expect anything too deep or outstanding. Where this anime excels is entertainment. It has ecchi, but it is well placed to create an atmosphere of freedom. This anime is pretty good for relaxing and winding down, so consider watching this if you're searching for something like that. Coming in at number 6 is Ixion Saga DT. Japanese gamer Kon Hokaze accidentally travels to another world while playing an MMORPG when a beautiful woman asks for his help. Upon arriving in this new world, he accidentally saves a young princess and accompanies her as part of her army unit. Having no idea how to get back to his homeworld, despite having a simple and somewhat even stupid mixed-up story, for someone who enjoys this type of comedy and gamers, especially those who loves RPGs, since they've thrown in a few dashes of gaming otaku jokes, which is also somewhat a reference to the world God only knows, who would most definitely enjoy the show as well. Coming in at number 5 is Outbreak Company. The story of Outbreak Company is quite simple. Shinichi is your average high school boy who has a crush on a girl. After rejection, he tries to find a way to replace that deep hole in his life. Becoming an otaku isn't exactly the best way to get over a rejection, but, well, what do? He chooses it anyways. After he does manage to get a job, he was kidnapped shortly after meeting his new boss, and awakens in an alternate world with a fantasy setup where he is given the task to spread the otaku culture in this new land. So, how do you plan to watch Outbreak Company? If you're in it for some fun, then definitely watch it. That way, the show is floored with silliness. But if an engaging story is a factor you're more interested in, then this show could be quite a disappointment. Instead of a deep story with complex elements, Outbreak Company likes to make more fun of the typical otaku culture and community. Coming in at number 4, we have Familiar of Zero. Wow, for many of you, let's go back down memory lane. This anime starts with Louise, a young magician with a lot of potential. Due to her current record of 0 accomplishments with magic, the students at Tristian Academy have nicknamed her Zero. Now, as an important test, she must summon a familiar to be her servant. She summons all of her magic and asks for a devoted, attractive, and powerful familiar, and gets Hiraga Saito, an ordinary Japanese boy. So while everyone else has some type of mystical creature, she has a boy. The relationship between Louise and Saito builds along the story. Saito is also hit on regularly by other girls in the academy, including a maid and a busty red-haired knight and the princess of the kingdom where Saito was summoned. This anime is definitely built differently, and has a different arc, and most of them are related to some of the problems which is faced by the kingdom, and Saito and Louise volunteers to save the kingdom. This anime is pretty good, and you should go for it if you are looking for some romance, but be aware that this series is pretty long and has a total of 4 seasons. But regardless, there's plenty of content to keep you busy. Wink. Coming in at number 3, we have Problem Children Are Coming From Another World, Aren't They? The story revolves around 3 characters from different times, but from the same world. They receive an invitation because they have powers and they're needed. All of a sudden, the 3 of them are falling from the sky to this fantasy world they've never even seen before, and they meet Black Rabbit, and she explains to them the situation and asks for their help for the community that is called No Name, to rise up to be a great community with their aid. Asuka and Kasukabe agree and Izayoi accepts to help, but later on. The story is original, fun, and new elements are added in each episode. The series mostly revolves around gift games. These are pre-arranged battles with specific rules, so expect a lot of fight scenes, which is also good to be honest because the protagonists are really strong. And also, have you ever had one of those moments where after you finish watching an anime series, you get a feeling of, damn, I wish I had finished this sooner? Or maybe after you finish watching it, you thought, this needs a season 2. Well, this series will make you feel the same way. Coming in at number 2, we have Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. The premise sounds interesting, and although it's not really something new since it's more like a mashup of tropes with occasional twists, it isn't boring at all, and it actually lives up to the expectations. The main character ends up in a different world, yet not after dying, like the usual, but the goddess of the world in question ends up hating him and trying to torment him because he's ugly. She sends him in a deserted place full of monsters only, and he has to work his way from there on his own to find humans. They won't accept him anyway, so his main companions end up being non-humans. The story is basically the main interest of the show, which really drives it. After all, this isn't some quest to fight the demon lord at the end. Imagine being moved here only to be kicked away because of your looks, only to pick up some fucking weirdos along the way as you push on forward through your journey. but with mountains of issues piling up, stopping you in your tracks, and make you go about it differently. That's basically the sum of the story. If you're looking for a wild and fun show this season, this is surely one of them. So start watching now! And number 1 goes to Gate. Gate Jeitai Kanochi Nite Kaku Tatakare, also known as Gate, starts the show with a unique performance and leaves the viewer speechless while trying to grasp the situation. On the surface, this series doesn't sound like it would make a good series. Summed up with the main lead, Yoichi Itami, is aged 33 years old. Perhaps this is one of the most courageous steps I've ever seen. There's nothing personal, but the anime industry has always had teenagers as the main characters for a reason. Gate, on the other hand, put a mature and adult man as their main lead, which is rather impressive and daring. As they risk losing their current viewers, Gate manages to show that it can outdo the whole situation. The plot kicks off when out of nowhere a gate appears, and from it come a bunch of orcs, medieval troops that indiscriminately killed civilians, wreck the place, and interrupt the otaku event the protagonist was planning to visit. But as it so happens, the protagonist is not only an otaku, but also a member of the SDF, or the Japanese military. And once the initial attack has been dealt with, he joins the force sent through the gate. Gate presents an unprecedented concept to the fantasy genre. If you enjoy shows like No Game No Life, Sword Art Online, Overlord, or fantasy in general, then this is a show that you will certainly adore. You can thank me later. And with that comes the end of our list. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below if you think we missed any anime that deserve to be on this list. Also, don't forget to like, share, and definitely don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you would like to support me, then please consider becoming a member of the channel, as you will also receive exclusive content that is meant for members only. And again, thank you everybody so much for watching. And as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.